LabVIEW, the next software that we are going to use. And LabVIEW is a graphical programming software. Many of the programming languages, they are script programming languages, where you have to write a code and you run that code, of course, to get your results. LabVIEW basically is a graphical programming language in which you create the logic using different boxes. I would say box, using different boxes, and each box represents an element or a routine that you use in a programming language. In general, LabVIEW can be used to present some control system, some engineering system. So, for example, if you have a power plant, or if you have a simple room that you want to represent, you want to show your client, let's say that you're designing a room, the room has different lights and you have different switches to turn on the lights, it has a screen that can come up and down for projector, fan, and anything that you have, then how that room is going to look like. And you have different switches. You can virtually turn on and off the switches to show the lights, specific lights are turning on and off, projector screen coming down and up. So all those things you can represent, you can show in LabVIEW. Now, in LabVIEW, let's go ahead and show you the basic environment. So when you open the LabVIEW, I'm using 2013, and the tutorial that I wrote was with 2010, because when I wrote the tutorial, I had 2010, then I got 2013. There's really not much difference at this level, at least. In 2010 or 2013, perhaps the beginning screen will be different. For example, this is how the screen looks like for 2010, and for 2013, it looks like this. So there's not very much difference, except of course some screens are different, but as far as functionality is concerned, it's exactly the same. So whatever is discussed in the tutorial, or whatever I will discuss in these videos using 2013, will still be applicable to any version of LabVIEW, and most of you will be downloading the newer version of LabVIEW, and everything is going to be applicable in the newer version as well. However, the only thing is LabVIEW is not forward compatible. So the program that you will be creating in the newer version, if let's say that version is 2020, then if you just save that file, LabVIEW files extension is VI, which is virtual instrument. So the VI file that you are going to save in, let's say, version 2020, that I will not be able to open in 2013 or even 2019, because it is not forward compatible, it is backward compatible. So if I create a file in 2013, you should be able to open it in 2020. So what you can do, I will show you actually, I can show you right now. What you will do is, actually when I create the project, then I will be able to show you. So I'll discuss that. You can save it basically for any previous version. So even though you are using version 2020, you can still save it for 2013, and that's actually you will have to do, because I will not be able to open the 2020 version in 2013. So you will save it as the previous version, and then I will be able to open that and check your work. So anyways, so as I introduced, LabVIEW is a graphical programming language. And when you open 2020, I don't know what will be the first screen. Again, it does not really matter what is the first screen. As I said, 2010 is this, 2013 is this. It doesn't matter. What is important is how you are going to go and create your program. So what you have to do is you go to the file menu and you create a new virtual instrument, new VI. That's what you have to do, new VI. once you click the new VI, it is going to open two screens. And if it does not open two screens, it will always open the screen which is grayed out with the check mark, which is called the front panel. And the second screen is the white screen, which is the block diagram, right? Now, if the block diagram is not open, then you can always open it. Let's say if I close the block diagram, then you can go to Window and you can do Show Block Diagram and it will open up. Both screens are important. Both have their functionality. So let's discuss what is the functionality of the front panel. So as I said, LabVIEW is used for presentation purpose, let's say. So you want to show your control system to your client, or in general, you are just creating a system, an interactive system for, let's say if I'm creating an interactive system for students where they can just enter some number or play with knobs and stuff, and then it can execute a specific routine or specific equations to show them the result of that operation. That all those things that you want to show, that goes on the front panel. So for example, if I want to show you that you want to play with two numbers, so those two numbers, those boxes where you can change numbers, I will put in the front panel. And then I'm going to put a third box which will show you the result of any operation that basically correspond to whatever I want the program to do. Likewise, if I have a system where I want to show that some lights are turning on, some fan is turning on, AC is turning on, projector is coming down, screen is coming down, all those things that are physical, that you see, I'm going to put in the front panel. So front panel is for presentation. Now, how things will act together, how things that you put in the front panel act together, the functionality, the logic that you are going to create in the block diagram. Okay, so both screens are important. Anytime you put anything in the front panel, a corresponding block of that thing is going to appear in the block diagram. So once once you're done putting your stuff in the front panel that you want to present to your client, or to, let's say I have to present to a class, then I'm going to go to the block diagram, and then the blocks of each corresponding component that I put in the front panel, the corresponding functional blocks will be here. And then my job is going to be to create a logic between these blocks as how to connect these blocks and what should be the logic that will flow from one block to the other block, such that in the front panel, when you turn the light on, let's say, then your light will turn on. Now, how the light will turn on, which light will turn on, that logic is going to be in the block diagram that the client will not be able to see, or you don't want to show it to the client. I mean, that client can see, of course, but you don't want to show the client. So let's say block diagram, you go ahead and close that. Actually, anytime you create a VI file and then you save it, and once you open it, then the block diagram most of the time is not going to show up. Only the front panel is going to show up. So if you have to make any modification in your logic, you will have to open the block diagram manually. Okay. So how you can put different things in the front panel? That comes from the control palette. So control palette correspond to front panel. And again, if you close control palette, or if it is closed, you can always go and you can open that from the view menu. As you can see, control palette. So you can click that and the control palette is going to open up. And again, control palette correspond to the front panel. And likewise, for the block diagram, you have the functions palette. How you want the blocks that you're putting in the front panel, how you want them to function together, the logic. So functions palette correspond to the block diagram. So remember, control palette goes with the front panel, and functions palette goes with the block diagram. Now you don't have to remember, you don't have to create two different things in one program. I mean, whatever you're putting here, the corresponding block will appear over here. So it's not like something that you put here, you have to go and physically go and put the block for that in the block diagram. No. Anything that you put here, for example, if I go ahead and I put an LED over here, let's say, right? So a block diagram of that LED is going to show up. So if you want to go ahead and change the name of the LED, the same name is going to appear over here. So that's going to be the topic of the next video. But anyways, so what you will have to do, of course, is whatever the blocks that you're putting over here, corresponding function blocks are going to appear here, and you will have to connect those function blocks in a with a logical manner, whatever you want to do, and then when you run the program, of course, then you will see how the program is working in the front panel. So this is block diagram. Function palette is associated with the block diagram, and again, if function palette is not there, then go to view and open the function palette. Okay. There is also a tool palette, which carries different tools that you can use. Now observe, it is green right now, and if you take your mouse on that, it says automatic tool selection. That means anytime you want any tool, just by the click of the mouse or just by taking your mouse to, let's say, over here, observe, it changed into what we call wiring tool, right? As you can see, this is the wiring tool right here. But as soon as you take your mouse, as long as it is an automatic tool selection, if this light is green, if you take it to any node that needs to be connected, it will change automatically into wiring tool. Likewise, if you double click it, you can start typing. So it changed into text mode, right? So the best thing is don't even touch the tools palette. Just leave it in the automatic tool selection, which is the default item, the default setting. So I will just close it, and I don't think I will need it, so I'm not going to open it. So this is the basic introduction and basic environment of LabVIEW. Anytime you create a new VI, you have a front panel, an associated block diagram. Block diagram has function palette. You have the control palette for the front panel. Everything that you want to show to anyone, your design basically is going to go in the front panel. Any logic that will control that design, that will run that design, all that logic is going to go in the block diagram. So this is a basic introduction of what LabVIEW is, what is the environment of LabVIEW is, and then in the next video we will start discussing how to create simple systems and how to use LabVIEW.